Okay, shall we start, sir? Hello.
Yes.
Shall
Am I audible, sir?
Yes, very good morning. Lecture series sponsored by AICT under Prerna scheme. Today we have with us
Sir, your voice is not clear.
voice is not clear. Now it is audible, sir.
Now it is audible, sir. Now it is audible.
Hello.
Yes, yes.
Okay, okay, okay. So he had more than experience at postgraduate, undergraduate, and diploma level. His area of interest is green manufacturing, green supply management, etc. Contributed around 40 at different national level, various seminars. He is editor of International Journal of Strategic Management, MET Education Private Limited, Mauritius. He is approved PhD supervisor at RTM Nagpur University, and he had three PhD scholars are working under his under guidance. So I request Dr. Minhaj Ahemad sir to continue with the session.
Thank you, sir. Ambade sir, thank you very much. So, my presentation is visible to everyone. Ambade sir, am I
Yes, sir. Yes,
audible
sir.
and my presentation is visible to everyone?
Yes, sir. Yes, yes, sir. Yes, yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Is it clear? Shall I start? Is it clear, friends? Is it clear? Anyone? Ambade sir, is it clear?
Yes, sir.
Clear, na? Shall I start?
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you. So, friends, today the topic of discussion is forecasting models and aggregate planning. So, friends, forecasting plays a very crucial role in the development of plans for the future. It is essential for the organization to know for what level of activities one is planning before investment in inputs, that is various M's like man, machines, and material to be made. So before making an investment, friends, decisions, before making this investment decision, there are so many questions which pop up, like what should be the size of the amount of capital required? How large should be the size of the workforce? What should be the size of the order and safety stock? What should be the capacity of the plant? The answer to this type of question depend upon the forecast for the future level of operations. So friends, modern production activities are becoming more complex technologically, and the basic inputs are becoming expensive, and there are lots of restrictions on them. The planning of production activity is therefore essential so that the resources are put to their best use. So friends, planning is fundamental activity of management. Forecasting forms the basis of planning, and forecasting enables the organization to respond more quickly and accurately to various market change. So friends, according to the American Society American Marketing Association, forecasting is defined by them as an estimate of sales in physical units or monetary value for a specified future period under proposed marketing plan or program and under the assumed set of economic and other forces outside the organization for which the forecast is made. So this is, friends, forecasting, which is defined by American Association, Marketing Association. So friends, forecasting is a process of estimating a future event by casting forward past data. The past data are systematically combined in a predetermined way to obtain the estimate of the future. In business application, forecasting serves as a starting point of major decisions in finance, marketing, production, and purchasing. It is the basis for budgeting, planning capacity, sales, production, and inventory, personnel management, purchasing, and much more than this. So friends, forecasting plays an important role in the planning process so as to anticipate the future plan accordingly. So as shown, what is forecasting? So for process of predicting a future event, underlying basis of all business decisions, it may involve production, inventory, personnel, and facilities. So as shown in figure, the lady forecasting about you, assume yourself there. So there are some features of forecasting. It assumes causal system. It may predict your future depending upon your past and present. Forecasting rarely perfect because of randomness sometimes. Forecasting more accurate for groups as we compare it to individuals. Forecasting accuracy decreases as time horizon increases. We cannot predict the future, friends. Nowadays, we don't even know before year or two that we have to face this pandemic COVID-19, and because of this, the economy is drastically changes worldwide. Okay, not only we suffer, because the world as a whole suffer from this, and it suffers a lot in businesses, in jobs, and so on. So forecasting is much more effective when the time horizon is less. So forecasting time horizons are divided into short range forecasting, medium range forecasting, and long range forecasting. Short range forecasting is up to 1 year, generally less than 3 months. It may involve purchasing, job scheduling, workforce levels, job assignment, production levels, and so on. The medium range forecasting, the span is 3 months to 3 years. It includes sales and production planning, the budgeting for that years, and then there comes long range forecasting. If the forecasting period is more than 3 years, then it is termed as long range forecasting. It involves new product planning, facility locations, research, and development. So there are various steps which need to be followed in forecasting. What needs to be forecast? That is, the level of details are needed, the units of analysis and time horizons are required, what data is available to evaluate, identify needed data and whether it is available, select and test the forecasting model, cost, ease of use and accuracy, and generation of the forecasting planning, along with monitoring the forecast accuracy over time. So we can discuss this in detail again. Determine the steps of forecasting. It involves determining the purpose of the forecast. How will it be used and when will it be needed? establish a time horizon. We have to establish the time horizon. The forecast must indicate a time interval. Okay, keeping in mind the accuracy of the time horizon. As we know, the accuracy decreases as the time horizon increases because we cannot predict the future, friends. So obtain, clean, and analyze appropriate data. We have to obtain the data that can involve significant effort. Significant efforts are needed. Once obtained, the data may be need to be cleaned to get rid of the outliers and obviously incorrect data. Select a forecasting technique, make the forecast and monitor the forecast, because we have to monitor it to determine whether it is performing in a satisfactory manner. Okay, so these are the things to be considered while forecasting. So again, these are the steps: determine the purpose, establish a time horizon, select a forecasting technique, obtain, clean, and analyze the data, make the forecast, and monitor the forecast. Okay. Again, it is given in flow chart. We have to identify the purpose of forecast. We have to collect the data, and so on. These are the various steps which need to be followed to forecast. These are the various techniques. So friends, now let us move towards the model of forecasting. So there are three basic forecasting techniques that are judgmental, based on time series, and associative type, that is causal methods. So judgmental methods, it uses subjective inputs for quality methods. It relies on art of human judgment, whereas the time series, it uses the past data, historical data, assuming the future will be like the past or present data. And third one is the causal method. It uses explanatory variables so as to predict the future. So let us see this in detail. There are two types of forecasting model that are classified as qualitative and quantitative forecast. Qualitative forecasting methods, it is subjective in nature. Forecast generated subjectively by the forecasters, whereas the quantitative forecasts are based on mathematical modeling. This forecast generated through mathematical modeling. Another distinction consists of the data-based and theory-based. Data-based, expecting that history repeats itself in a certain way, usually given in the form of a time series, a chronological sequence of observed data with respect to a certain variables, and theory based, where the external factor determines the events. So friends, qualitative methods, the qualitative or technological method, it is based on the forecast which is generated subjectively by the forecaster. The type, characteristic, strength, and weakness are given. If we have to take the executive opinion, a group of managers meet and come up with a forecast. So the strength is that good for strategic or new product forecasting, but the weakness is that one person's opinion can dominate the forecast if you want to take the higher ups. Then the market research base, it uses survey and interview to identify the customer preference. Then friends, please consider the launch of any new product. For example, if you remember the Surf Excel, first when it is launched in a very small, after the survey, what the customer needed, what are their expectation from the detergent maker. Then after this, they have launched it in a very small packet, which is freely they are distributed, and in a very less cost they have distributed that. And then when they got success, they launch it fully with full production capacity. So market research, it uses survey and interview to identify customer preference. Good determinant of customer preference is its strength, but weakness is that it can be difficult to develop a good questionnaire because it is a questionnaire method. Then there comes Delphi method. Delphi method seeks to develop a consensus among group of experts. Some questionnaire is put to some expert, then that the answer of the questionnaire is again put to other expert, and the iteration goes on. So it is excellent for forecasting long-term product demand technologically, but it is time consuming to develop. So friends, qualitative methods are basically unaided judgment, expert opinions type, collective opinion type, prediction market, Delphi technique, and marketing. So forecasting are largely intuitive because your intuition is required, whereas other integrate data and perhaps even mathematical or statistical techniques. Judgmental forecast consists of forecast by expert in the same field, forecast by individual salespeople, forecast by division or product line manager, consumer survey, outside or external expert or technical consultant, and market research. Sometimes augmented by statistical model. Then Delphi method, which is use the panel of expert, as already discussed, queried iteratively until consensus is reached. Then Salesforce composite, it estimate from individual salespersons are reviewed for reasonable, then aggregated. Consumer market survey, so as to, in this we have to ask the customer. So these are the various qualitative method. Now friends, quantitative methods or quantitative models which are generally used. These quantitative models are classified into two models. Number one, time series model. A time series is an uninterrupted set of data observation that have been ordered in equally spaced intervals, that is unit of time, and associated models, that is associative causal. Here forecasting is based on identification of variables, that are the variable factor that can predict values of the variable in questions. So there are various approaches which are under this quantitative models: Navy approach, moving average, exponential smoothing, trend, and linear regression. Okay. So time series is basically assumes the future which follows same pattern as that of the past, whereas the causal model, it explore causes and effect relationship. It uses leading indicator to predict the future. For examples, housing start and appliances sales are comes under this type of causal model. So friends, time series analysis. Time series analysis identify the historical pattern of demand for the product and project, or extrapolates this demand into future. This important method of making inference about future on the basis of what has happened in the past is called time series analysis. So time series refers to the past data arranged in a chronological order as a dependent variable and time as an independent variable. For examples, the sales of TV set for last 4 years, if you want to predict. So the time series method does not study the factor that influence the demand, and in this method, all the factors that shape the demand are grouped into one factor, time, and demand is expressed as a series of data with respect to time. So So a time series is a set of observation of a variable at regular interval over time. For example, in the year 1993-94, number of TV sets predicted is 20. In 94-95, it is 30. In 95-96, it is 40. In 96-97, it is 58. So what about the 97-98? So that we have to calculate using this past data. So a time series assume that what has occurred in the past will continue to occur in the future. So component of a time series are generally classified as trend, cycle, seasonal, and random or irregular. It is given by T, C, S, and R. So time series analysis, it includes various methods like moving average, exponential smoothing, linear trend, okay, and data are tabulated or graphed to show the nature of the time dependency. So time series is a time order sequence of observation taken at regular intervals. Forecasting techniques based on time series data are made on the assumption that future values of the series can be estimated from past values. Analysis of time series can often be accomplished by merely plotting the data and usually examining the behavior of the series. One or more pattern might appear: trends, seasonal variation, cycles, or variation around an average. In addition, there will be random and perhaps irregular variations also, apart from this. So it is nothing but a set of evenly spaced numerical data obtained by observing the response variable at regular time period. So based only on past value, no other variables are important. Assuming that factor influencing past and present will continue influencing in future. So this is the basis of time series analysis. So these are the four components of time series analysis, that is trend, cyclical, seasonal, and random. So trend, a gradual long-term up or down movement of demand. If you see this demand and time relationship, you will see the trend, it shows a gradual, it refers to a long-term upward or downward movement in the data. Population shift, changing incomes, and cultural changes often account for such movements. So this is the trend. Now, if you talk about cycle, an up and down repetitive movement in demand is called cycle. Okay. So these are oscillating patterns of increasing or decreasing around the trend. Cyclic fluctuation account for some of the variance between the trend line and the data points. The magnitude, timing, and pattern of cyclic fluctuation vary so widely, and the awareness of the effect of cyclic variation should influence the forecaster. So cycle is an up and down repetitive movement in demand. Cycles are wave-like variation of more than 1 year's duration. They are often related to a variety of economical, political, and even agricultural conditions which can affect this cyclic trend. Then friends, seasonal pattern. Seasonal pattern, an up and down repetitive movement. For example, festivals, sales of painting is highest in Diwali festival, sales of umbrella in rainy season, warm cloth during winter. So seasonal pattern, an up and down repetitive movement in demand occurring periodically. Seasonality refers to short-term, fairly regular variations, generally related to factors such as the calendar or time of day. It means festival times, seasons, etc. Okay. Then there comes random variation. Random variation, movement in demand that do not follow a pattern, is called random variation. Random variation are residual variation that remains after all other behaviors have been accounted for. Okay, it is again further elaborated as irregular variation. It is due to unusual circumstances such as severe weather condition, strikes, or other similar type of possibilities that we have to identify and remove from the database. So this occur without any fixed pattern. These are chance variation that are not explained by trend, cycle, or seasonal variation. So this may account for natural calamities like flood, drought, earthquake, etc. Right? So the composition of time series is data is equal to historic pattern plus random variation. And the most commonly used expression for time series forecast is y is equal to TCSR, where y is the forecasted value and TCSR stand for secular trends, cyclic variation, seasonal variation, and irregular fluctuation respectively. So these are the level, or these are the time series pattern. Number A shows the level or horizontal pattern. Data follows a horizontal pattern around the mean value. When you talk about the quantity and time relationship, in trend pattern, the data is progressively increasing or it may be decreasing. In the seasonal pattern, it is data exhibit a regular repeating pattern, and in the cyclic, the data increases or decreases over a time. So this graph shows the demand with the quantity. With respect to time, it shows the seasonal peaks, it shows the trend. Trend shows you the linear relationship. These are the actual demand. Okay. This is the random variation. This is the average demand for over 4 years. So this shows the trend. It persists overall upward or downward pattern trend. It changes due to population, technology, age, cultures, etc. Typically, several years of duration is required to form the trend, to know the trend. This is the regular seasonal component, regular pattern of up and down fluctuation. It may be due to weather, custom, etc. Occurs within a single year over a period of time. Cyclical component repeating up and down movements affected by business cycle, political and economical factors, multiple year duration. Random, it is erratic, asystematic, residual fluctuation due to random variation or unforeseen events, short duration or non-repeating type of data. Then friends, there comes least square method, which is a method used in time series analysis to solve the problems related to forecasting. Linear regression analysis is also known as least square method of forecasting. This is the mathematical method of obtaining the line of best fit. This is the line of best fit between the dependent variable, that is demand, and an independent variable. So this method is called least square method, as the sum of the square of deviation of various point from the line of best fit is minimum or least. It gives the equation of the line for which the sum of squares of vertical distance between the actual values and the line values are at minimum. Okay. So this shows the linear regression equation. So identify dependent is y, independent is x, and the slope for the slope is given by b. Okay. So the equation is equal to y is equal to a plus bx. If you want to calculate the y-intercept, these are the errors. That is the difference between actual value and regression equation. So a trend line fitted to historical data points can project into the medium to long range. Linear trends can be found using the least square techniques. Y is equal to a plus bx, where y is the computed value of the variable to be predicted, that is the dependent variable. A is the y-axis intercept, b is the slope of the regression line, and x the independent variable. So it is estimated by least square method. Equation y is equal to a plus bx. This is the equation for slope and this is the intercept. So friends, y is equal to a plus bx, where b is the slope of the line, a is the y-intercept. The value of the constant a and b are determined by the two simultaneous equation, that is summation y is equal to na plus b summation x. Summation xy is equal to a summation x plus b summation x square. These two equations are called normal equation. To compute the values of a and b, we have to calculate the deviation, that is x, for each period and also the sum of deviation. We have to find out the value of summation x square. We have to find the value of summation xy. We have to calculate the value of a and b and make the sum of deviation, that is summation x is equal to 0. So substituting this value in equation 1 and 2, this is equation 1 and 2. So it will be, we get summation y is equal to na and summation xy is equal to b summation x square. So ultimately, which gives the value of a and b. A is equal to summation y by n and b is equal to summation xy by summation x square. So friends, you must note one point. If the time series consists of odd number of years, that is if 9 years or 7 years are given, so if we consider 9 years, so in that case, to make summation x is equal to 0, the middle value, that is fifth in this case, of the time series is taken as origin. Whereas if the time series consists of even number of years, if for example, if 10 years are given, so in that case, the midway period between two middle period is taken as origin to make summation x 0. We'll see this in the next slide. So friends, one problem is given. The following data is given: 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9 years, and sales are given, right? So we have to fit the straight line and we have to forecast the sale for 1998 and 1999. Next 2 years we have to forecast. Now, let us see the solution. These are the number of years: 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 years. So n is equal to 9. Here the sales are given. Now we have to find out the deviation, that is x. Now if we take this 9 years, the middle value is 5, because when as per the note, we have to consider, if the odd number of years are given, we have to consider the mid number as origin. So in this case, if we left 4 up and 4 down, we'll take this 5 as a middle origin. So if 1 minus 5, now we have to find out the deviation. So 1 minus 5 is minus 4, 2 minus 5 is minus 3, 3 minus 5 is minus 2, 4 minus 5 is minus 1, 5 minus 5 is 0, and then 6 minus 5 is 1, 7 minus 5 is 2, 8 minus 5 is 3, and 4. So this is summation x is equal to 0. Okay. So this is the condition. Now x square we have to calculate and xy we have to calculate. X into y. So this is summation xy, right? Now we got all the values which is required to fit the equation, fit the line. Now substituting the value in the equation to get a is equal to summation y by n. So summation y here two 57. This is summation y by n. This is n is 9. We got a. Similarly, summation xy by x square. This is xy, and this is x square. So the value is 3.4. Now equation of the straight line is y is equal to a plus bx. So y is equal to a plus bx. This will be your line. Now we have to calculate the sale for the year 1998. Now why 1998 is because the time we have to put the value of a, right? So a in this case, so what will be the 1998 year? 1998 will be 10th year. 1, 2, 3. This is 9. 1998 is 10, and 1999 is 11. So this 10 minus 5 minus this middle value, the answer is 5. So put this value 5 here, and you will get the answer. Similarly, y 99. So here y, that is 1999 is the 11th year. So 11 minus 5 is this value. 11 minus 5 is 6. Put the value and find the answer. So these are the sales for the year 1998 and 1999. Okay. So these are the answer for this least square method, which is very important. Then friend, there are so many methods which are available: Navy forecast, simple average. Okay. So this is Navy approach. It assumes demand in next period is the same as the demand in the most recent period. For example, if January sales were 68, then February sales will be 68, sometime cost effective and efficient, and can be good starting point. Okay. Then simple moving average method is also there. This MA or moving average method is a series of arithmetic mean used if little or no trend, seasonal and cyclic patterns. Used often for smoothing, provides overall impression of data over time. The equation is given by moving average is equal to summation of demand in the previous year, that is n periods upon n. That is simple average mean is next period forecast is equal to average of all historical data, 80 plus 80 minus 1, 80 minus 2, and so on upon. So this is how we can solve the moving average problem. Friends, it is not possible for me to solve problems of every method because the time is very limited. We have to finish the aggregate planning also. So we'll escape this. So this is moving average method. The formula is given. Then there are examples of moving average. This is how the moving average is calculated. Then there comes weighted moving average. The formula is given. Weighted moving average is summation of weight for period n into demand in period n divided by summation of the weight. Weight is generally based on the intuition used when trend is present. Older data usually less important. So this is the formula. So this is how the problem can be solved. This is the weight. This is how the weighted moving average is calculated. So there are some issues with this and there are some disadvantage of this. Then there comes exponential smoothing method, friends. The past data of sales of a company can have fluctuation because of the seasonal variation and random variation. Simple averaging of demand for previous period is going to hide the trend, and it is meaningless since trend is an important factor. So friends, moving average consists of series of these arithmetic means calculated from overlapping group of successive element of time series. Then this exponential smoothing is one of the disadvantage of moving average forecast is the laborious operation of maintaining the data for all the previous year. So exponential smoothing model estimate the average forecast for the next period by using the actual and the forecasted demand for the previous period. So it shows the weight decline exponentially. Most recent data weighted most. This method require only the current demand and forecast. This method assign weight to all the previous data. The reason this is called exponential smoothing is that each increment in the past is decreased by 1 minus alpha value, where alpha is the smoothing constant, it is the actual value, and ft is the forecasted value. The formula is given. So this is the problem. So please go through some books and solve the problems. The formula, just we have to put the formula and find out the answers. So friends, forecasting nowadays, it is computer aided forecasting softwares are aided. So spreadsheets are available in MS Office. Then various statistical packages are available like SAS, SPSS, Minitab. Forecasting plus statistical and graphical values can be generated. And there are specially forecasting packages like Forecast Master, Forecast Pro, Autobox, SCA are available nowadays. So there is no more manual problem solving. Now we can solve the problem by using various softwares. Now, aggregate planning. Friends, aggregate planning is the process of planning the quantity and timing of output for the intermediate range, often 3 to 18 months planning by adjusting the production rate, employment, inventory, and other controllable variables. So this is aggregate planning. Okay. Aggregate planning links long range and short range planning activities. It is aggregated in the sense that the planning activities at the early stage are concerned with homogeneous criteria such as gross volume of products or number of customers served. There are one more term which is associated with aggregate planning, and it is known as master production scheduling. So it basically follows the aggregate planning. I'll show you one example. So before that, this is the long-term planning, intermediate planning. Long-term planning, it comes under there are capacity planning, like size of facility to be installed, equipment, purchasing of equipment, procurement of equipment. This comes under long-term planning. Intermediate term planning, there are aggregate planning. It shows or it concern with the facility utilization, the personnel needs, and subcontracting to be done, if any. Again, there are intermediate planning. As I already told you that there are master production scheduling, which immediately follows the aggregate planning. It also comes under intermediate term planning. And there are short term planning. That short term planning, it comes under short term scheduling, work center loading, job sequencing, job allotment. These are comes under short term planning. So this is long term planning, intermediate planning, and short term planning. So the goal to plan gross workforce level and set firm-wide production plan. The concept is predicted on the idea of an aggregate unit of production, maybe actual units or maybe measured in weights, volume, time, or money. So why aggregate planning is necessary? Fully load facilities and minimize overloading and underloading. We can utilize the available facility fully, make sure that enough capacity available to satisfy the expected demand. We can plan for the orderly and systematic change of production capacity to meet the demand as per the requirement, as per the expectation of the customer. So friends, please consider this example. These are the months: January, February, March, April, and so on. And these are the number of product. Here there are motors. So in the month of January, we have to manufacture 40 units. In the month of February, we have to manufacture 25 motors. In the month of March, we have to manufacture 55 units. In the month of April, 30 units. In the month of May, 30 units, and so on. Right? So this is known as aggregate planning. Okay. Now, master scheduling follow this aggregate plan. Okay. Now you will see this is month. These are January, February, March, April, and these are the model of motors. These are the various model of motor. In the month of January, we have to manufacture 40 units in total as per the aggregate plan, but these are the number of models which are available. So in the month of January, 5 HP motor to be produced in 15 number and 25 HP motors is to be produced in 20 number. Okay. And 5 10 HP motors to be produced. So in total, there are 40 motors to be produced in the month of January. Similarly, in the month of February, we have to manufacture 25 units, 25 motors. So only 25 HP motors to be made. In the month of March, we have to manufacture 55 units. So 5 HP motors 13 number and 25 HP motors 25 number. So in total, there are 55 units to be made in the month of March. So this is how the master production schedule follow the aggregate plan. Aggregate planning gives you the number of units to be produced in that particular month, but master production schedule gives you the detailed, in-depth planning of that aggregate plan. So this is the relationship between operation management element. There are marketplace and demand. So product decision, this is demand forecast. We already studied this. Then process planning, decision, then aggregate planning for production, followed by master schedule, then detailed work schedule, and then priority to be made as per the planning and schedule. Okay. So friends, long range capacity planning is generally for years. It may be 2 years, 5 years, 10 years, and so on. Aggregate planning is the medium range or intermediate range of planning. The time horizon is 6 to 18 months. Whereas the master production schedule is comes and it is also a medium range or intermediate range of planning, but it gives you short range, that is weeks, and very short range, that is hours and day, it is production planning and control system. Detail job loading, scheduling, and so on. So the long range capacity planning basically deals with the unit of measure like entire product line, entire production capacity, where aggregate planning focuses on product family. The master production schedule is focusing on specific product model, whereas the production planning and control system, it focuses on labor, material, and machines. This is the hierarchy of production planning. Forecast of aggregate demand for some period planning horizon. This is aggregate production plan to be made. Based on this, it determines, it is a determination of aggregate production and workforce level for that T period planning horizon. Master production schedule production levels by items per time period. Then material requirement planning system, detailed timetable for production and assembly of component and sub-assemblies. So aggregate planning, the planning horizon is 6 to 18 months or 1 year. Master production scheduling, planning horizons are few months, time units are 1 week. Material requirement planning, the planning horizons is 1 month, a few months, and time unit is 1 week. Similarly, this shop floor activity, shop floor production control, a day or a shift, it talks about, and time unit is real time, actual time. So a forecast of aggregate demand covering the selected planning horizon, 6 to 18 months. These are the inputs. The alternative means available to adjust short to medium term capacity, to wait to what extent each alternative could impact capacity and the related content, the current status of the system in terms of workforce level, inventory level, and production rate. A production plan aggregate decision for each period in the planning horizon, workforce level, input, inventory level, production rate. This comes as a output of this given input in terms of aggregate planning. So these are the need for aggregate capacity planning. Workforce level, hire or lay off full-time worker, part-time worker, contract worker, utilization of the workforce, overtime, ideal time, reduce work hour. Okay. So we have to reduce the working hour or start the overtime so as to utilize the workforce. Inventory level, finished good inventory, back order, lost sales, subcontracting. So these are the need for aggregate capacity planning. And the approaches to aggregate planning is top-down approach, bottom-up approach. It may be from top to bottom, from bottom to top, informal or trial and error approach, mathematical, optical approaches like linear programming, linear decision, computer plannings are available. Okay, friends, so that's all from this aggregate planning. Let us see some gate questions which is asked. So the time series forecasting method that gives equal weightage to each of the M most recent observation is moving average, exponential, triple exponential, Kalman filter. So it is moving average method. These are the questions which is asked in university. Then the annual demand for an item is 10,000 unit. The unit cost is 100. Inventory charges is this much. The cost of procurement is this one. So the time between two consecutive order to meet the above demand is, this you have to calculate by using the various methods of forecasting. This is actually demand forecasting. This we had solved by using this linear regression method. This we have already solved. So friends, that's all from my side for today's discussion. So any questions, any queries? The time given to me is 11:30. I think you are having another class from 12 p.m., 12 noon. So that's all from my side. If you have any queries, please raise your queries.
Anyone want to ask any question to today's expert? Do you have any doubt, students?
As I know, there are so many methods, statistical methods which need to be covered, but the time doesn't permit me. But I have tried to cover the linear regression method, which is very important. And we have solved one example of this linear regression method, which comes under this time series analysis. So that is, I have tried to solve that example. My I would like to suggest you to please go through any book of production planning and try to solve various numericals which is related to these methods of forecasting or various forecasting models. So that is the task given to you, because it is not possible for me to cover all this in a 1 hour session. I think I have tried to cover both this forecasting as well as aggregate planning and master scheduling. If you have any queries, please raise your concern so that I'll try to answer it. Otherwise, we can conclude this session. If you don't have any questions, so we,
Anyone want to ask any question? Any question from your side, students? I think there is no question from the student side, sir.
so
So thank you
thank
very
you.
much, sir, for accepting our invitation and sharing your valuable knowledge with our students. Hoping that the student will definitely take a benefit from this lecture and will definitely score the good marks in coming GATE examination. Thank you. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for patience listening. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. इंग्लिश बरोबर नाही तर मी लिहून ठेवतो रोज मला काय बोलायचं आहे ते हे लिहून ठेवलंय मला काय बोलायचं पहिले मी लिहून ठेवतो